Oh, Matty Tamua, have you ever seen a better try than Teddy Wilson's for the Waratahs against the Chiefs on Friday night?
It was an absolute rip. I'll tell you one that would have maybe rivaled it was Fouquet's finish that got turned around earlier. But, oh, God, it was what a, proper good try. And I'll tell you what, I was glad that the Tars showed some attacking promise because, like I said the week before, I just felt they were trying a few things, but it didn't really come off. But this week, there are a few good signs.
21-14, the Waratahs over the previous ladder-leading Chiefs. Incredible win for the Tars. It's really turned around their season. Lots coming up on the pod. We're going to break down the Brumbies win over the Queensland Reds. We're going to be welcoming Jordan Petaia, not just your cousin, but a two-time Wallaby who's turned to the NFL, has just been picked up at the LA Chargers. He's joining us on the Roar Rugby Podcast. I'm Christy, Doran, with Matt Tamua. A lot more on the other side of this. I think I might have just said two-time Wallaby. I probably meant to say two-time World Cup Wallaby member. Matt, you were in one of those trips. Jordy Petaia, what's he like as a tourist?
Geordie. Mate, he's so relaxed. He's so chilled. Often seems blissfully unaware of what's going on. He's great. Honestly, he's so chilled. He has some real random interests, which is really cool. So and like a lot of us, he just gets obsessed with things. But he just has some random interests. He'll come in the morning and just have something like this random fact that he found out the night before. But awesome guy. And I'm probably a bit biased because obviously the connection there.
Heck of a Wallaby, I'll tell you that. Looking forward to that chat later on. But before then, that's good on a Monday. We're recording this on a Monday, but it's Masters time, early April. How good was it? Did you watch it? What time did you get up for it? And are you a Rory McIlroy fan?
Oh, I'm seriously I absolutely love Rory. I've put money on him the last 5 Masters, and I didn't this week, which was probably a good thing. But I love him. I was up at Sparrows watching. I honestly have not been that nervous in a long, long time. I was up walking around, hands on the head, when he's gone into the pond, but then he's come back on, was it 17 and hit a ridiculous approach, but then missed the eagle putt. And that was early on.
That's 15, I think. Yeah,
on 15. Sorry, on 17, he still hits an amazing approach as well. And you think, all right, he's got a cushion. And then he 120 out, he puts it in the sand where he holed out 2 years ago on the last day. Yeah. So you think, all right, he'll put it close here, but. Oh, that was drama, and it was amazing. Amazing.
I reckon it's the only time on a Monday that any Aussie bloke, and maybe woman, but any Aussie bloke gets excited about a Monday. Most Monday lighters, not when it's Masters time. It's like, I'm getting up early. I'm not missing this. And it was the biggest roller coaster of emotions. Like, it's not just Rory McIlroy. It's Justin Rose, a bloke who seems like he's been around forever, just playing out of his skin, and that putt that he holed at the end to birdie to go to 11 under on the 18th was just incredible. Day, I was optimistic that an Aussie was going to feature right at the pointy end. He just couldn't get the momentum going. One step forward, one back.
Yeah, and Min Woo after his win a couple of weeks ago. But he made great showing, to be fair, as well. But just what an event it is. Some of the photos of where they're just taking a photo of everyone watching, because you're not allowed cameras, or you're not allowed phones, and everyone's engrossed. It's just this idyllic, perfect world for 4 days. It's it's good. It's good. I loved every bit of it. And I hated the fact that I was death riding Justin Rose because I love the bloke. I think he's amazing. But
he's the nicest guy on the tour.
Oh, he's such a lovely fella. It was just I've been, the Rory McIlroy story. I'm proper engrossed in. So yeah, I was. And he did it in the most Rory way possible.
Yeah, Yeah. Well, absolute balls of steel. What he did to conjure up on that playoff hole, couldn't have played that any better. Is it's not really much like a golf to rugby, because rugby is such generally a free flowing. It's the only similarity really with the pressure moment, a goal kicker when they're stepping up.
Yeah, there's heaps. Goal kicking, there's heaps. Goal kicking and line out throwing. They're basically the time when you've got a dead ball, so nothing's influencing the way it comes in. But I 100% I love my golf, but I use it a lot. Dave Allred, ex I think it was Molinari coach, and coached obviously Johnny Wilkinson and many of the even the current players. But there's so much in terms of pre-shot routine. There's so much in terms of like the element of flow, or like even the big thing for me was like your warm up. When you warm up and kick, and you usually kick it, you usually have a hook on your kick, for instance. But in the warm up, you've got a fade. Play with the fade for that day. Just adjust. Don't get too constrained by factors. And that was a real golf thing. That's what they would talk about. So there's lots of little mental things, and it's very much probably like you say, it's your goal kickers, and then probably your line out throwers in terms of resetting after a missed throw or just coming on, all that kind of stuff.
Well, anyway, congratulations, Rory McIlroy. Unbelievable. It breaks.
Friend of the pod. Big listener.
Yeah. He's got a huge fan. A little birdie tells me you might have done a marathon, your first marathon on Sunday. I imagine you would have been sore waking up this morning then, but how did you go?
Agony, mate. Agony. I made all the mistakes that a first marathon runner does. One, signing up way with not enough lead in. Two, wearing new shoes on these shoes are fast. I wore them in for a little 4K, so they'll be fine for a marathon. Three, went disrespected the marathon. Thought, yep, I can do this. I'll stay with this pacing group. And then halfway in, set like a PB for me in terms of a half marathon pace, and then, which is not the thing to do for anyone who's trying to do it, completely hit the wall, fell off the wagon, just was like, nah, I'm quitting, I can't do this, but hung in there and finished it in one piece. But it was awesome. It was so inspiring. Like, there was so many people in Canberra out there, and it's proper inspiring seeing people do that stuff. And I loved it. Agony last night, but a bit better today.
It's funny, I've done a couple, and I wouldn't advise my preparation to anyone. On both times, there was massive flaws in both, and it probably resulted in a time that wasn't that fantastic. But it doesn't really matter about the time, does it? Because you're right around, you get inspired by all the people that are doing it, but you get this high as well from when you complete it, but the endorphins of all the training that you generally put into it as well. It's pretty incredible. And I know the Canberra one, people like Benny Alexander, and I think Elliot Woods, the former Brumbies media manager, those sorts of guys are pretty into their running as well, or they certainly were at one point in time.
Yeah, it's a cool little, and it's growing, the community around the run club. But there's you almost don't talk about the time. It's very much just the process of beating yourself. And I think it's a little bit like golf, ironically, where you kind of bond over how difficult it is. Like, it's just you versus, no one can beat the game of golf, and no one can beat a marathon. So it's kind of like I enjoy it. But I've got the bug. I've already signed up to a few more, so hopefully I learn from my past mistakes, but more likely I won't, and I'll convince myself of a new thing that I've got to try. So it's good.
You got to do the Great Ocean Road one at some point in time. That was incredible. Hey, we probably
should get on the rugby
for too long. Big weekend of rugby. Once again, 4 Aussie sides still in the top 6. We will continue to say it.
Yeah, mate. I don't know when the Kiwis are going to drop aside, because they're just dragging the competition along. But no, it's been great. Awesome. Like I said, I can't believe the fact that I'm cheering on the Waratahs lately, but with mainly the ex-Brumbies coaching staff. But no, the way they're playing, the way they played against the Chiefs, definitely didn't pick that. Brumbies massive win up there as well, didn't pick that. The competition is proper healthy at the moment.
It was funny. I tipping after being 5 from 5 the week before, it wasn't nearly as successful on the weekend. I tipped the Reds, but then I tweeted, put pre-game on the Saturday night, so I'm sniffing a Brumbies upset, and I think they'll do it. They did. Let's start though with the Waratahs. 21-14, mentioned that earlier. They raced out of the blocks. They withstood a bit of a storm from the Chiefs, and then 2 quick tries. 14-7 shortly after halftime, and then 21-7, 21-14. It was neck and neck. The defence, the resilience that the Waratahs showed was just outstanding. That last 20 minutes, the last 10 minutes, I think the Chiefs had 85% ball. The Tars gave away 18 penalties. It was pretty outrageous what they managed to come away with, to deny the Chiefs, only concede 2 tries, and have Damien McKenzie play the worst game of his career. They've done well.
Yeah, they have, and I really do get excited by the way Dan has been building this team and really kind of getting keeping the main, building the solid foundation in terms of defense. Is a huge part. Also, winning at home, it's a big part. Like having a fortress, having a place that people fear is a huge thing, and they're very much showing that. Obviously, there's huge improvements can be made, but I feel like it's a much better position. You've got a bit of leverage in terms of that now. Like if you're winning games ugly, this is a team that last year were losing every game within 10 points. We were on the pod every week, another close loss, blah, blah, blah. He's turned that psyche around where they genuinely think they can win and believe, and I don't think that can be understated. So, I really do like how he's building that team. I think it's a very smart way. He's not trying to skip a few steps and go straight to, offload flick pass. He's going, defense, breakdown, tough, grindy, more, and then the next bit will be making sure there's a bit of gloss to kind of get the fans back.
Yeah, I think people like Ethan Dobbins, Ben Grant, like these guys aren't amazing top tier international players, but like those guys were so instrumental in the win on the weekend with the tough stuff that they did. They continue to kind of take their chances as well. The Waratahs, in the limited territory that they did have, they came away with some points. And Joey Walton was another guy who I think had his best game of the season. Really tough, made a break, great footwork to set up Tristan Riley's try as well. And then that unbelievable try that starts right on the Waratahs' line with, I forget, did he place the ball or did he just pass it straight away back? That was an interesting thing that got picked up later on. But the hands there, the desire to play the ball and actually play some eyes-up rugby there as well. Andrew Kellaway summed up that situation perfectly. The pass from Lawson Crichton over his head to Kellaway was fantastic, and Teddy Wilson completing the try. It was outstanding, and it really had the 15,000 up on their feet. Teddy Wilson, let's start there with him. He's a guy that's on the rise. I reckon that the fact that Jake Gordon's missed the last month or so has been the best thing for the Waratahs to allow Teddy Wilson to get some game time.
Yeah, and we spoke. You mentioned it a few times last year. I remember when I was talking about the Waratahs going overseas. Maybe it's a good time to rest some of their key players. And it's not necessarily about, throwing a game. It's about genuinely developing talent. And you're seeing that through injury. He's got opportunity and he's really shown a lot of that talent, which is great because then once Jake comes back and he resumes, that 9 position, you've got 2 genuine guys who can play. And that's depth that we just haven't had in Australian rugby for a long time. In a key position, touching the ball the most, out of anyone else, having 2 quality guys there is awesome. So, really liking it. He's got that speed of a Tate, but he's got a bit of composure and a bit of playmaking about him as well. So, I think it's exciting.
He's tough as well. Like he's the son of David Wilson, the great Wallabies back rower, and you can see that. Like we interviewed him post game, and his shoulders and arms are pretty jacked for a 9. Like he's a strong looking, rugged dude.
Yeah, there's not many guys under Dan McKellar's program who won't be little tough nuggets, and including halfbacks and his dad, obviously, Brisbane State old boy anyway, legend of the game. But honestly, it's good to see, and I think we're in a healthier position where, like I say, he could be on the bench in a few weeks' time, but we're having this impact in the last 20, 30 of games where you've got experienced guys coming on, which is the way it should be. Like Super Rugby shouldn't be a kind of just a stepping stone. It should in itself be a performance, high performance kind of spectacle, and having that is awesome. So really, really like it.
It was too easy to get into a Super Rugby franchise previously. Like there's only 5 teams, but up until this year, but it did seem like it was the squad, the depth wasn't there, and we're now starting to see that. We're having some strong conversations. Lawson Crichton, really good match. I think he showed why. Dan McKellar's put some faith in him, and I think it helps when you get your goals from the sideline as well. A couple of good kicks, 3 from 3 for the evening, but he just has that composure about him. I think at times there's probably other 10s in the country that play fast mode. But I feel like Lawson's pretty level-headed, and he seems like he's a calm customer out in the field.
Yeah, and honestly, it's like so much of it is timing, and not knocking Tane. Tane had a great year last year, and under a different program would be exceptional. It's timing, like Dan, Kat, these guys, developing their playing style. It just really suits a guy like Crichton. And he's grabbed it with both hands. He's looked great. He's growing as well. I think, like, fair play to the coaches as well, giving him a bit of time in the saddle, because there was probably a couple of weeks ago, it might have been in New Zealand, where he didn't have his best game. And, in the past, you might have seen coaches just drop him for that and try and set a standard. But Dan's really tried to kind of implement a longer-term strategy. And I think that's I think we'll start to see that paying off, which is, it's good. It's exciting.
They've got the Fiji Drua, who were so brave and exciting in that second half, particularly against the Highlanders on the weekend. Still winless on the road. I think it's now 21 matches. But Fiji at home, completely different proposition. Dan McKellar hinted post-game, I asked him, what are you going to be doing about your management policy? Because guys like Angus Bell have now played 6-7 games on the trot. So he is due for a rest. So I think there'll be a few of them. I think Edmund might get a crack in the 23. I wonder who else might get rested. Angus Taniela Tupou is another one who's played the same amount of games. He just hasn't played anywhere near the amount of minutes that Belly has. What would you do with Taniela? Like, he's come off the bench in the last 2 matches. Would you say to Rugby Australia, hang on a moment, this is a guy that's being well managed here at the Tars. He's played less than 30 minutes the last 2 matches. We want him to do the same thing in Fiji. And would that be fair enough, do you think? And is that necessary even for a guy like Taniela to keep going?
Yeah, it is. I think I know Dan. I know what he's like, and I know that there have been some pretty robust discussions between himself and Rugby Australia. And I reckon he will. I wouldn't be surprised if he starts him, to be honest. I reckon Dan will. He's an experienced coach. I think he'll use this game as a realistic look. If we get a couple points out of it, it'll be amazing. If we get a win, that'll be even better. But at the same time, we can start maybe developing guys, maybe targeting games at home. Maybe, if we have to rest someone like a Belly, even a Rob the Yoda, who's played massive minutes as well. If we have to rest these guys, do we rest them this week? But it'll be case by case, Suali'i, for instance, it'd be a good idea for him to go there and help travel with the boys, get used to this thing. He hasn't played with injury. For me, Taniela, like I think rolling out red carpet hasn't really worked recently, and I think there needs to be a bit of a change of tact with him, because we all get super excited by him about his potential, but management hasn't really worked in the last year or two. So I think we need to kind of change that and maybe a bit more of vinegar rather than honey.
I think you're right there. It's interesting. I know Timmy Horan made mention in the pre-match coverage that he's been linked to a move to France. I think there's a couple of clubs that are sniffing for him. You can understand a big tight head like him. They treated like gold and royalty in France, and I'm sure Taniela would be the same. I think the fascinating aspect of this is he's on about 1.2 million a year at the moment. I don't think he'll get even half that if he stays in Australia. I think that it would be probably less than 600K that would be offered to him. And on form, I actually think that that's probably fair enough. It's just you've known the upside. He's not been able to get to the upside. Is it now time with Taniela being 27, 28 to go, you know what, maybe Australian rugby can actually benefit more by him going overseas? I don't know if that will actually be the case. He's a guy that he's played his best footy at the Reds in Queensland, where a lot of his support network is. So it's a fascinating thing about what actually occurs with Taniela. And yeah, as I say, I don't think he's been offered a contract yet, even by Rugby Australia, because they probably know that he's not going to accept it. And it almost would be a bit of a slap in the face for someone like him to have his contract more than halved. It's a fascinating one, and we'll see what happens in the weeks to come. There'll be more about that, I have no doubt. The Reds and Brumbies, awesome ding-dong battle. It's been one of the matchups of the last 5 years, really, ever since that 2020 Super Rugby AU final in Canberra where the Brumbies stuck it. But, of course, the Reds did a number on them a year later with James O'Connor and Taniela playing out of their skin. What did you think of the game? Were you surprised by any of it? And there was a number of Brumbies that just stood up that played test match footy, I thought.
Yeah, and I know you wrote about it, and you're right. Like Noah really had his best game this year, which was awesome. The Reds, I think, will be unbelievably disappointed about that game. I reckon that was probably likened to maybe, I think, when they lost to Moana last year in terms of the performance, not necessarily result, but like just the performance. And, it's probably no coincidence that it was another wet game. They've lost 2 games now, maybe potentially against the Chiefs, both kind of wet games. So maybe we're seeing a little bit of growth that's needed in terms of, understanding conditions rather than just playing, this ideal type of rugby, that you have to be a bit more pragmatic. Because, I'm sure the Brumbies would have been the team that was the most glad about it being wet that night, and they're a team that traditionally knows how to win in the wet. So I think the Reds would be, pretty disappointed.
Robbie Valentini, he was just amazing, and he just targeted Tim Ryan off the back of the scrum there to score the Brumbies' first try straight after the Reds had scored their second, and it was that kind of moment in time where the game just changed and the Brumbies started to hang on to the ball, and the kicking game from Lonergan and Lolasio was on point. I want to pick up though what you said there about the philosophy of the Reds when it's slightly wet. Is that a coaching thing, do you think, or is that the expectation of the players on the field, the key leaders, the masters and commanders, to go, no, we can adapt this and we will, or do you think that that's being kind of driven by the leadership of Les Kiss and so forth?
Boring answer. Yeah, a bit of both. I think ultimately most of these decisions lie with the leaders, hence the coach. That being said, I don't know if he told them that, so he might have said it and the players just didn't do it. So it's hard to know. But yeah, it's like for me, it just seems, the Reds probably just had a bit of growth in terms of decision making to happen. Tate's an attacking type of player, so his tendency is going to be to want to push the envelope. And we saw that the week before, not choosing to not take the points. And I think that's, like, personally, I think that's really cool. It's great. It's just having a balanced opinion on the other side of it. Is it a fly half? Is it a 12 who can kind of say, mate, I reckon, let's be a bit conservative here and maybe play the percentages. a bit more. So I think, look, I think it's a good place to build from, in the sense that you've got this team who really want to play rugby, who are not afraid. They believe in their ability. It's just every now and then, maybe just need to be a bit more pragmatic about how we do that. And that usually comes with a bit of, leadership in certain positions, particularly around decision making, that you can actually adjust based on new information, i.e. weather, referee, yellow card the week before, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it was fascinating watching on like the first 5-6 minutes. The Reds just looked unbelievably slick. It got showed in the try from Hunter plus Army, but even before then, there was a couple of lovely passages of play from the inside backs, and Tom Liner looked like he was going to be out for a big evening. And in the end, it was Noah that outplayed him, and Tommy Liner's decision to touch the ball before going into touch was a real head scratcher around that 52, 53 minute mark. And then the Brumbies score a second rolling maul in the space of 5 minutes off the back of that as well. So some teething issues, and the defensive maul was one of the big reasons for the Reds' struggle in the weekend. The week before, it was the Reds' attacking maul that didn't fire against the Chiefs. So some set piece issues. I think like a Ryan Smith coming back there will be significant for them. He's the guy that's been just the heart and soul of that club for quite a while, but undoubtedly weren't helped by the loss of Harry Wilson, who fractured his arm against the Chiefs late in that match, as well as Filippo Danguna's loss as well. So the bye comes at a good time for the Reds. I have no doubt about that. Guys like Josh Fluke and not too far away from their own returns, and that will help the Reds, because I think they will need it. A really difficult second half of the season. Someone that was there, Matty, in the stands was your cousin Jordan Petaia. He's joining us on the other side of this.
And joining us on the podcast now, NFL superstar Jordan Petaia. Jordy, how much is your contract worth?
Honestly, couldn't tell you. Didn't look through it.
Jordy, you're in Australia. Just give us an update of where you're at. Obviously, everyone's really excited about the news. A couple of weeks ago, signed with the Chargers, but you're back in Oz. How long for? What's the go?
Yeah, thanks for having me on. Back for about 10 days, just sorting life out a bit and repacking the suitcase, and then I'll be off by the end of this week. So pretty much head over and start training camp and get stuck in.
Hey, Jordy, you're probably the craziest dude, and once upon a time in Australian rugby. You now have departed, but can you tell us what's happened over the last 12 months? You've gone and you're trying to make the NFL, but blimey, not many people have the balls to go, you know what, I'm going to finish up one career, go try to make another of it when you're in your mid-20s. So what's actually happened, and how long have you been in the process of this, and even the trying out? What actually occurred over there?
I guess it's sort of been an idea and a dream sort of in the back of my head for a while. So I've sort of been tracking it and lingering in the back of my head for years. So I guess when the opportunity came, I sort of took it to go over and have a crack and spend 3 months learning a new game. So it was it was pretty cool, and obviously a tough decision, but I'm glad I did it, and got no regrets. So it's exciting.
Jordy, I'm interested in the position change. Well, obviously position change, but usually rugby converts going over Jared Hayne, is in kind of receivers or special teams. You've got a little bit of a different position that they're picking you for. Give us an insight for those who aren't aware, and maybe what the differences are.
Yeah, so I sort of went over, with an open mindset, obviously not going to a new code demanding where I'm going to play, but I was covering a few different positions in camp and sort of getting the feel for where I fit best and where the coaches said, I fit best, and I guess that was sort of tied in. It's sort of it's a brainy role. You got to know a lot, so there's a fair bit there, but it's the way I'm playing the position. Well, I guess if we'll play the position is more of a receiving tight end, I guess. But obviously, I'm gonna be having to grind special teams as well and do a lot more there. So I guess when I get over, I'll see what entails with the position. But yeah, I guess being a versatile athlete in rugby as well. I'm sure you saw over the years, I played a lot of different positions. So yeah, that's sort of, I guess, a good attribute in football. So yeah, staying versatile.
And how much? Because obviously training, you're not training initially. You weren't training in a team. You're training in the program with other aspiring athletes. How much of that do you get like real scrimmage action? Do you go in and do like trial days with other teams? How does that work?
Yeah, so this year was about 13 of us, which was quite a big group for the program. There wasn't, I'm not sure, can't think off the top of my head how many there were last year, but it's one of the bigger groups that I've been before. So um, yeah, we got to do one-on-ones and stuff like that. We had a few DB in camp and some other defensive players that we could do small scrimmages against and mimic game-like situations. Obviously, it was a long camp, and you also got to train for the pro day. So yeah, we did as much as we could. So to answer your question, yeah.
Jordy, so it's the International Player Pathway Training Program that you went over and kind of got selected out of that. What's the day-to-day look like? Is it 2 hours of training, 4 hours, 6 hours? Is it looking at plays and trying to investigate the sport and are you just spending time at the laptop looking at plays, or what actually goes on day to day?
Yeah, it was about 6 days a week, and you're doing gym and speed and combine sort of drills in the morning, and then you're doing hours of football in the afternoon, and then in and around that, there's all, I guess, positional meetings and whiteboard sessions on the schedule or not. You're probably doing extra whiteboard sessions with the coaches anyway. So honestly, some days I wouldn't know how long they were, but you'd be rolling into bed and waking up next morning ready to go again. So obviously a new sport, so you spend a lot of time in the classroom and on the field, because it's 3 months is a short time to learn a new sport, especially football, with how much detail and the playbooks are massive. So there's plenty of detail to cover and still to cover. So I'm sure you can imagine it's long days.
It's no surprise that you managed to get picked up, because knowing what you could do on the rugby park, I'm sure a lot translates into the work in the air. Obviously, the shots of you bumping away Richie Mwanga, they're kind of things that I remember from years ago. What when you got picked up by the OA Chargers, what actually goes on to make that occur and make that turn it into reality? Is it you and your agent, or sitting down with people? Is it them coming to you? How does that process work out?
Well, the pro day, which we sort of worked the 10 weeks for, was sort of the, I guess, well, if you know what a pro day is, it's sort of like it's a showcase. So we pretty much just worked out that day, and it was about 30 odd scouts there from each team that watch you perform, and then hopefully you impress a few teams, and you exchange some numbers, and you talk and stay in touch, and then you get flown out. So Chargers were lucky enough to get a flight out there and invitation to visit, and then I didn't know what to expect on the day, so to finish the day with a contract offer was pretty cool. And sort of a quick process from pro day, but obviously I went through the free agent system because I wasn't draft eligible, so it was cool.
It's pretty amazing, Geordie, and I know we were all a lot of people cheering back at home. for you. Tell me, what's the commitment? So, like over here, you sign with the Queensland Reds, you're there for 2-3 years, whatever. Over there, it's a little bit different with the system. Does this guarantee you a spot on the 53? Is there special sanctions for international players? Like, what's the kind of significance of signing with the LA Chargers?
Yeah. Obviously, to go back to Christy's question as well with the agent and stuff. I didn't do an agent. I actually went in there on my own. So obviously had a lot of guys like, I guess, Jordan Malata that I would lean on and contact. And it's pretty once you get in your first sort of rookie contract, I guess it's pretty standard. But honestly, I couldn't tell you the details about it all. But it's not a guaranteed 53. I think, I'm sure you could do your research on it. It's all up publicly, but you sort of get through preseason and then they make the cuts for practice and 53. But since I've been back, I've been honestly hanging out with family and friends, so I'm yet to cover that all detail, but I'm sure I'll get my head around it as I get ready to get back.
Jody, one thing I admire is like yourself, Carter Gordon, Marky Mark, like three blokes who, back in the day, maybe James O'Connor, Quaid, there was always whispers of going to league or whatever, but you guys have actually kind of done it. It's like it's pretty ballsy, like it's super cool. I don't even know what my question is, to be honest with you, but like doing that, having the guts to go with it, watching stuff online, like what?
Yeah.
Is it seeing guys like Jordan Mailata pave a way before, or Jared Hayne, or Louis Rees-Zammit, Christian Way? What kind of, like, what's the tipping point that it goes from, rather than just a pipe dream or a headline, to actually, I'm going to go do this?
I mean, I guess the tipping point was, I mean, you do take inspiration from, like, Jordan Mailatas and other athletes that make the jump across to do that, and then you see that there is pathways. But I guess I used to watch it a lot. Stealing your dad's account and being a fan of the game. I sort of just loved it. And I guess me and dad used to make jokes about it, and but low key serious about pursuing it if I ever came to given an opportunity to have a crack. So I think being able to start rugby at quite a young age professionally, and then as I carried on and continue to watch the NFL and see guys that there was an opportunity for international players, I think that fire sort of just got bigger and bigger, and I guess I'd definitely regret it if I didn't take the opportunity. So obviously not even for my dream, but dad's dream as well. So it was definitely something I wanted to pursue, and thought if I didn't do it now, I guess you can only stay young for so long. So it's probably it.
You're going to make me tear up, mate. No, it's pretty cool. But I'll change it before it gets too emotional. Watching Hard Knocks, I always think of when they get the rookies in and they have to do like a hazing, you got to sing a song or something. Have you got something like that? Have you got something planned up? Because they're pretty brutal.
I know, I've heard that.
Croc Dundee or something? Are you going to lean on that, or?
Honestly, I gotta actually give it some thought. I actually thought about it. They told us during IPP is like, if you guys get on a team, if you're lucky enough to get signed to a team, you got to be prepped, because apparently the rookies, they got to do something or sing or do some sort of hidden talent. So I have no idea what the charges, sort of their culture around that is, but I guess I gotta have something just in case. I don't know what I'm gonna land on. Maybe.
Did either of you have to do any of that during your rugby days?
Nah, no. Oh,
it's not like it's like you win
not
your
on
first
that
game
scale.
or something. Yeah, you're right.
Not on that scale.
Because
Yeah.
for those who don't know, you watch Hard Knocks, and they literally they'll
Yeah.
have a rookies night where you've got to host a show, basically the rookies, and they just cop it. They absolutely
Yeah.
cop it. They get thrown out. I know Exeter Chiefs, they've done some pretty brutal hazings that they're not allowed to talk about. And my one at Leicester, we just literally had my first day of training, I had to run a Bronco in front of everyone, which was a bit different.
Yeah.
Sounds pretty weak, that one.
That's fair. I think, I think for the UK boys got to sing a song on their debut. So I got no
Usually,
clue what's in
yeah, it's
store.
usually like naked. You got to sing a song with a beer or something,
Something like
and
that,
over there, that's kind of what it goes on. But
Some good
Geordie, was there any moment when you went over there, when you first arrived, where you were a bit scared about, blimey, like I've taken the plunge, or does that not enter your psyche?
as in scared of what? Like,
Well, like it's a big thing that you've done. Like I know that you guys are athletes, and but from an emotional
oh,
perspective, when you went over there, I imagine you would have been like, "Blimey, I'm doing it." Was there any part of you
oh,
going, like, wow, what happens if it doesn't work, or I'm a long way from home here, or do you just love it down
uh,
in Florida?
I mean, yeah, I was just keen to get started and get stuck in and put my head down. I guess the biggest thing was probably just the mortgages back home. No pay, so I'm on an island out there. But nah,
blissfully unaware is the words you're after, Christy. Blissfully unaware.
I guess I guess just putting my head down to work hard. I mean, I guess the thought of failure is just I'd already made the jump, and uh, I guess I know my family and my old man were proud that even taking the opportunity. So I feel like I'd already ticked the box jumping on the plane. So the rest was just to work hard and hopefully get signed like I did at the end of it, and now I start the next journey. Trying to make a career out of it. So yeah.
It sounds pretty special. I know there's been one or two stories recently around you and your dad about the dream about playing at the NFL. Like how old were you when you started watching a bit of it? And was there a team or a position
He's
that
a
you?
bandwagon. He's a
Oh,
bandwagon. He knows this.
I am coming. I don't have a team. What do you mean? I don't have a team.
No,
I
his
tried,
dad had
man.
a Kansas City Chief hat, wasn't it?
Yeah, nah, yeah, I was probably 12 when I started watching maybe Super Bowls. I wasn't really into obviously you only get the free seven mate, I think it was, used to show a game or two every now and then on prime time, but it was probably not till I was like getting late in high school that I sort of tried to track it a bit more, and I guess then once I got onto Matt's Dazzin account, I could stay involved a lot more in watching the game. But yeah, I did like the Chiefs. So around when I was like 15, 14, because I like watched Miles Charles. So as a running back, so I like watching his highlights, and then sort of just a dynasty has appeared, and then I was a bandwagon from the pup. So yeah, can't say I'm a Chiefs fan now though.
no, no, you certainly can't. Well, you and a couple of the Reds boys went on an overseas trip to the States the other year as well. Like, I imagine it's a place that you like, but have you got a bunch of your former teammates that you would have seen on Saturday going, I want to come watch you play, or was that influential in you deciding to go to the States, one or two of those trips over there?
Yeah, so my sister actually went to college in America, and she was, yeah, a really great tennis player. And then she met a Texan over there, and he actually came over to live with us for ages. So I was a bit of an American influence there pretty early. And then yeah, we got to visit her when I was younger. So I guess I've always loved the American sports, and I guess yeah, sort of life over there is pretty cool. How all states are different, and there's sort of different culture in every city. So I love traveling too. So those trips were sort of just bit of a bit of exploring, but yeah, I guess no, not too much more of an influence to make the jump.
And what was it like being at Suncorp on Saturday night? Obviously, the Reds didn't get up, but I imagine it would have been pretty special catching up with a bunch of your old teammates who would have been very pleased to see you and thrilled about the recent news.
Yeah, no, it was a great time that I got back for Tady's 100th, and then a few of the boys had 50th caps as well, and then Andy Muirhead for the Brumbies as well had his 100th. So it was yeah, it was honestly pretty like amazing timing to be home for that and catch up with everyone and yeah, chat to the boys and everyone telling me to get a two-bed apartment, come see you. So it was cool to catch up with everyone and yeah, watch the game. On unfortunate result, but even catching up with all the coaches as well, it was good to see everyone after a long 3 months.
I know Andy was one of your golf buddies. Did you get up this morning for the Masters, and how was it? And have you played any? Have you managed to get over to like Florida and play some, some good old courses?
Yeah, Andy, I was actually getting stuck in Andy about his that Brumbies video they put out about the fastest hole. Did you see that one?
I haven't seen it. No.
Oh no, I was laughing at Hudson. He two putts, but the ball's still rolling when he finishes the hole. They did the fastest hole challenge, but it was good to catch up with Andy, and yeah, he's definitely one of the golf crew members. But I didn't get to actually play over there, which was unfortunate. I wanted to, but yeah, I was flat out, and I was one day off a week, so I was cooked to even get out. But I'm sure I'll hopefully find some time to play some golf over there. I think they got a golf simulator in the facility, so um, still we can find some spare time outside, all the training and playbooks.
Hey, Geordie, who's the best and the worst golfer in the Wallabies at the moment?
Wallabies. I wouldn't know who's top at the
Well,
moment.
when you left, it would have been Carter by far.
When I left, it was definitely Carter.
He's a scratch golfer, so he's very good.
I'd say Carter. Yeah, I don't know any other. Personally, I don't know any other sportsman person better than Carter. So
Yeah, Carter's
Yeah.
very, very good. Like I said, he's
Yeah.
a scratch golfer, so he's
yeah,
quite handy.
yeah.
Nice for some. Hey, Geordie, awesome to catch up about. What have you been up to recently? Good to see the two of you cousins on the pod together. That's always fun.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that the door's never completely closed about a rugby return, perhaps, but you've got some bigger fish to fry for now.
Yeah. I haven't even given a thought, but yeah, focus on the next job.
Yeah, I mocked earlier saying blissfully unaware, but I think in like there's a genius to it as well. Like just focus on what you can control in the next job, and the rest takes care of itself, Geordie. And younger cousin, but you've always inspired me, mate. Proper couldn't say how much more proud I am of you. So man, get me emotional talking about your dad. But mate, so happy and proud of you, mate. Love you heaps, and go well.
Appreciate it. We're gonna have to run that pickleball match back.
I beat him, by the way.
It's my first time playing ever.
Thanks heaps, Geordie.
Hey, that was fun talking to your cuz Jordan Petaia. It's unbelievable what he's trying to do, and there's been a lot that have attempted to do it, not so successfully. Some, but all power to him.
Yeah, he didn't really answer my question about. I didn't really know what the question was, but just like, for want of a better word, the confidence or balls on these guys, like to do this stuff. I genuinely admire it. Like it's a really cool, like, I want to play league. All right, let's try it. And the world's just so much smaller now.
Well, why do you think people like Quade didn't decide to switch over to league? Is it you played with him? Like, what do you think held back some of the people of that generation?
It's a good question. I just think it wasn't done. Probably a big start. Like, it was usually league to rugby, particularly with, Lottie and Wendell and that, and or in more recent times then anyway. But I just think the risk of it, you kind of didn't step out of your zone a little bit. Like when you're a young fella and you go to these clubs, it was always head down, a mouth shut, bum up, and then nowadays you go to a club and it's they want input from everyone and the younger guys, and it's a different kind of environment and everyone feels empowered and and I just think a flow-on effect is like, wow, I want to go play, and they just kind of do it. Social media, the world just seems smaller, more games on TV. It doesn't seem like this distant dream, pipe dream. Everything's closer. I think it's a combination of all of it. But I just think it's so cool. It's unreal.
We're going to be watching that one closely in the weeks and months to come. Geordie leaving on Saturday to go back to the US. Another big round of Super Rugby ahead. Guys like, for the Brumbies, Blake Shop, unfortunately, a really devastating Achilles injury. That was such a shame to see him go down. And geez, it was awesome to see him, after having a bit of the green whistle there, light up. He was pretty happy at that moment in time, showing he's a real character. No, Lenny Katau, another one. He's going to be surely ruled out with that concussion that he suffered on the weekend as well in the first couple of minutes. Who was it? It was Lockie Anderson that he's just got his head in the wrong position there and gone down quickly. But Ollie Sapsford was a really fine replacement on the evening. They've got Moana Pacifica on Saturday afternoon. The Tars are going to Fiji. They're actually two tricky assignments now. Nothing to be underestimated about those two.
Yeah, I think the only people underestimating that are the people who haven't watched this year. they're not going to be favourites, put it that way. And they'll back themselves to win those games, I'm sure, because they're competitive. But realistically, Moana have been great, particularly at home. Probably a little blip in terms of their season on the weekend. But that could have been the Blues stepping it up, but I think they'll be very, very difficult to beat. Very difficult to beat over there. So it could. The Brumbies have set themselves up though. They've won a few more games now. I think they can do it. I'm probably hoping that it rains over there as well. I reckon. And Tars. I think that'll be a little bit difficult to win that game. The only team stronger at home at the moment is probably the Waratahs than the Drua. So we'll see how it goes.
The Fourth as well are going to host the Hurricanes on Saturday evening. A really important game for both sides. The Hurricanes have dropped a couple against New Zealand opposition. Not easy coming to Perth and then taking on the Fourth, who have been really strong there in 2025. The Crusaders are going to start it off Friday night hosting the Blues. That'll be a really big battle between the North and South Islands in New Zealand. James O'Connor, your old teammate, continues, and a friend of the pod, continues to turn it on. Great try on the weekend. He actually showed the pace of a younger James O'Connor, I reckon, in the past. He would have been pleased it was only 20 metres, I reckon, that dash. Before we go, Super Rugby tables, it's heating up. Crusaders, 28 points. Chiefs, second on 27. The Brumbies and the Reds on 23. Tars and Force, 21 and 20. I'll tell you what, though, there's going to be a New Zealand side that below them that goes on the run. And the Blues, to me, are that side that you just start to go, oh, okay. They've got the Reds in a couple of weeks in Brisbane as well. So if there's a side that's going to start to make a run, I reckon it could be them. Super W final on the weekend was a really great game on Saturday afternoon. The Tars ended up running away from the Reds, but Joe Yatt would have been pleased to see a lot of the talent emerging there. The Reds, unbelievably, have now lost 5 Super Rugby finals, so they just can't buy a win in the big dance. But it was a great spectacle there at North Sydney Oval, and good to see some stars there. I thought it was great to see a bit of a blend between a few of the Sevens players emerging. But I'll tell you what, I reckon the Waratahs, Caitlin House, I reckon she got it over Charlotte Caslick there in the fullback positions. So good on her. Another former Sevens player, Eva Kapani. She can play the big tight head prop as well. So a lot to look forward to. They're taking on the Blues now, the Waratahs, in a Trans-Tasman clash off the back of the Blues taking out a peaky competition over there. So good to see that the respective women's competitions are now starting to have a finals series or finals match. Hopefully it's a series going forward, but good for the women's game. Other things of note, the AGM coming up on Wednesday, a big deficit to be announced officially, 36 million off the back of Rugby Australia taking in under their umbrella the Waratahs, the Brumbies, and of course paying off a fair bit of the Rebels and paying for them essentially to remain in the competition last year after they fell into voluntary administration. So much more to be picked apart about there, but RA pretty confident that they'll have a $50 million profit in 2025, which will see them clear their debts off the back of the Lions series as well. So a lot going on there. Will we find out a Wallabies coach? Les Kiss certainly is firming. I think it's very much in that final stages now around, the board approval. What does it mean for the Reds in 2026? So will we hear about that this week or next week? Remains to be seen, but obviously the Reds having a bye. So I'm sure that there'll be a fair bit going on in the background over the next 7 days. Hey, I think that's a wrap. Great pod. Awesome to have Geordie on. Good to break it down. Good to see your face. I'm just thrilled that you survived a marathon.
Yeah, I can't actually get up, so I'll need to press the bell so my wife can pick me up and take me back. But good. It was awesome. I'm a bit disappointed there's no maths to go back to now, but just got to find some other trash TV to get into.
Yeah, there's always one. Well, there's always one, that's for certain. But 10 months or so until maths returns next year. So we're going to have to think about some other reality television to get a hold of. Hey, good to see you. We'll do it again in 7 days' time.
Peace.